All right, I've got it. And if you want to go, yeah, well, you're there. You're there. So let me bring you in here. And all right, we've got sound. Yes, I'm live now, and I am recording. And I am recording on Blog TV, and I'm on Blog Talk. We got back on. Had to reboot everything. My guest today is Michael Monk. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Great, great. All right.
Excellent.
Tell me, just give me a description. Now, people, we've got your website linked up here, AvatarEnergyMaster.com. Tell me what that is, what you do. I've been there to your site, and a lot of my guests here have been to the site. Tell me what that is, what you got on that site first.
Okay, well, I teach total energy mastery, which is everything I've learned in the past 3 years outside of all the current systems that are taught. I've expanded my energy, or my soul and my mind, past my body to the point where I'm unified with my external environment. I feel all things as a part of myself, the air around me, the chair I sit in, the sun that shines on me. And because of this, I've naturally become telekinetic with all of the elements. I can move wind around, I can move water. I have a demonstration where I move a straw inside of a sealed container. Obviously, if you're connected to this point, healing people is really easy because I can manipulate molecular structures in the body. And I'm also, I know you've said that I do dematerialization. What that is expanding the soul into the air around you, and you speed up the vibration of your molecules to become more like the air, and you start to obtain transparency.
And that's documented on film. You've got pictures of that. And the one I particularly like is where you've got a good wind blowing from the left of the screen, and it's blowing a little white ribbon, almost standing out. And when you move around, when you no contact, the wind changes direction.
Yeah, I indicate my desire to change it opposite the direction it's blowing, and within seconds after applying energy it does so, and then I get it to go all 4 directions that I want it to go during the demonstration.
And how did you discover this type of ability, this type of power? What led you into this? I mean,
well, it was a long journey, but it came in massive spurts. In 1999 it all started. I was watching a movie, a comedy movie, and just having a good time laughing, and I knew nothing about, I wasn't a spiritual person or anything, and out of nowhere a huge energy comes into my head and tells me, be quiet, stand up, turn the TV off, and I'm like, holy shit. And so I did so, and when I turned the TV off, I reached inside to this telepathic voice that was talking to me. I could hear it with my ears and with my mind. And I said, "Grandfather, is that you?" And the voice said, "Yes." And my whole body shivered with wonderful vibrations. But then I felt another presence in the same energy, and it felt like my cousin who had recently died. And I said, "Cousin Jason, is that you?" And it said, "Yes." And I'm vibrating all over, and I got a little confused. I said, "Okay, your grandfather and your cousin Jason, I'm confused." And instantly my inner vision opened up, replaced the outer vision, and what I saw was just a huge, endless host of light beings in human form, and they were all connected and speaking together telepathically as one voice. And that's when I realized I was talking to the collective consciousness of God. And I said, "Father, is this what it's like on the other side? We're all connected and we share thoughts and feelings." And he said, "You have finally met me, and now I give you a space and time. You can ask me any questions." And we talked a lot that night, but I was heavily entrenched in Christianity at the time, so most of my questions were biblical in nature. After this experience, I continued to have contact with the voice, and I experienced some extreme miracles via prayer. Like I had an instantaneous healing of an open flesh wound. I had my eye deeply gouged accidentally. Blood was leaking out of it, fluid was leaking out of it. I was going to lose my eyeball. It was very apparent. I was home all alone. I look in the mirror and blood is just leaking out, and my right eye tears up, and I go totally blind. And the voice came to me and said, well, just pray. So I get on my knees and said, Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, let my eye be healed. And my whole body shivers all over. I get up and I look in the mirror, and there's no blood in this eye, there's no tears in this eye, but from the center here, blood was running down my forehead. I wipe it off, and there's no wound on my forehead either. And so that just shocked the hell out of me. This was in the 1999, shortly after the contact with God. And between 2000 and 2008, I had a few extra experiences with miracles via prayer. I still didn't know anything about energy or anything like that. The way I got introduced to that was in 2008. I became interested in 2012, and I started researching it. And I got a hold of a young man that's out there demystifying this called David Wilcott. And he's quoting all of this material from a book he called The Law of One. And so I started reading The Law of One, and it's a channeling of the entity known as Ra that visited the Egyptians, R-A, Ra. And Ra is speaking in this book about vibration, that there's really no solid matter. He's trying to explain that it's our interpretation of vibration that causes us to perceive solid matter. And I'm vibrating all over as I read this material with the same essence that I always called the Holy Ghost. So that shocked the hell out of me, that God was supporting this material that 200 years ago would have gotten you burned at the stake. And during my reading of this material, I got hit with huge energy, just crazy, like my whole body's just vibrating, like I could barely stay in my skin, it felt like. And the voice came to me and said, go outside now and get away from people. And so I go out back in my workplace, and I stop walking, and the instant I stop walking, the whole world around me starts shimmering like when heat comes off of a blacktop, but it was everywhere. And it was a multicolored rainbow spectrum light. And I wasn't surprised. I felt familiar, like I'd been in this place, if you could call it a place. And it felt like I knew what to do. And the feeling was like stepping out of my chest. I didn't know what a heart chakra or anything was at that time, but I started coming out of my chest. And as I did this, my body began to gently rip apart. Like I just started coming apart. And I'm just like, holy crap. I look down and I can see through my body right to the pavement. And I look left at my arm, and my arm just flutters, like just transparent. And it's not like I don't feel anything anymore, but I didn't feel my body. Instead, I just felt wavy energy, like that's what I am. And
have you ever found yourself up on the ceiling looking down at your body? That's happened to me a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I travel out of body quite a bit since I started learning how to do it, and that's one of the things that I teach, is how to do that consciously.
I'm probably just naturally paranoid. I never wanted to travel very far. I wanted to keep an eye on me. I didn't know who I was around.
Yeah.
I didn't really trust the people I was with. So
traveling out of body is you always snap back to your body if you're needed. We do this every single night that we sleep. Every single night that you go into black sleep, you're out of your body. And the moment you're needed back in your body, if somebody shakes you or an alarm clock goes off, boom, your soul comes right back.
That's interesting. I wake up instantly. If the phone rings, I answer it by the second ring. I don't, and you'll never know if I was asleep. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe we don't really do that. Maybe that's.
No, we don't sleep. You're just hiding different activity from yourself so that you can engage in this world and pretend that it's all you have for purposes of being entrenched in the reality and getting the emotions from it.
Now, a lot of what you're talking about, I've written about over 40 years ago, and in some science fiction novels, right? And I really had the feeling that I wasn't writing about science fiction. I was writing about something that happened 10,000 years ago. How long have we been around on this planet? I don't think that science takes into account, glaciers, that kind of thing, floods,
right?
Which ends up they found whole homes, stone cut homes, polished stone in beds of coal. How long have we been around? How long have we been around here?
It's pretty much impossible to say because we go through cycles. We've never ascended as a race, as a whole. We go through cycles where we destroy ourselves, and then the planet freezes and then resets. There's like a cosmic clock that takes care of that. The point of this cycle is hopefully we're all going to wake up together, and we're going to ascend to an eternal state and end the reincarnation process. So eons, eternities. I mean, time becomes meaningless at that point.
In one of my fiction novels, which is called Lucifer Legends, the character is long-lived, but he also, if he dies, he comes back and retains the memory of his past adventures.
Okay. That's like a walk-in.
So it's now you kind of came to this and you talked about Christianity. I'm not a very big fan of religions. I feel like, just as you just talked about, God created us. I figured that's because he was just bored shitless and decided, if you know everything and you can do everything, where's your sense of adventure? So he created us with a spark of his divinity we call the soul, but it's a direct link to him. So we don't have to go sit in church for a couple hours listening to somebody else's interpretation of what reality is if we've got that direct link to God. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the original purpose of churches was just for people of a like mind to gather and have a social place. That's it. We weren't supposed to be listening to one man up top who's paid to tell us the truth of reality when he doesn't know anything himself.
Yeah, preacher said,
so it's gotten out of hand.
Son, how come, why don't we ever see you in church? And I said, well, preacher, does God talk to you and tell you what to tell your flock? Well, yes. Yeah, me too.
Right.
So, now, and what you're discussing, changing, moving the wind, moving the straws, telekinesis, telepathy, astral projection. Christians, devout Catholics, would call that witchcraft, occult. Well, that's New Age. Whatever, I mean, that's whatever negative they can think of to throw at you. They try to do that, don't they? Why?
Right.
Is that? Are they trying to protect their own churches? I mean, or what's the motivation behind that? My goal throughout life is I want to know. I just want to know.
It's just their own fear of what they don't understand. Would they call Jesus an occult person because he calmed the storm when he was out on the boat? Would they call him evil for walking on water? No. And Jesus' last words were what? These things and greater things you shall do. People just have a hard time believing it.
I said that they promoted Jesus to God in the Council of Nicaea about 300 AD, that because they didn't want men like you and I aspiring to be the kind of men that Jesus was. And that doesn't take anything away from what he did and what he said. To me, he was the first rebel that solved the problem that we've got today. How do you fight evil without becoming evil?
Right.
Have you figured that part out?
Well, our problem is that we're still using leaders. Like, we haven't formed a collective consciousness of our own yet. So we're still needing some sort of guidance and direction because we haven't learned to get along with each other. And so we need police and stuff. I mean, if everybody would just connect with each other and have a telepathic link as well as their individual mind, which is quite possible, then it would be, treating people would become naturally. Like, I feel other people's emotions as though they're my own because my energies are coming out of my body and my mind is attached to them. I feel it as a part of myself. And everybody is coming out of their body in the same way. They're just not perceiving it because they haven't bothered to train their mind or meditate. So we're all interconnected already. We're just ignoring the data. But if people would be willing to expand their mind out and we could connect telepathically, we could connect all of our minds, and then treating others in harmony would become automatic. You wouldn't need morals. You wouldn't need a moral code, because why would you hurt somebody else? You're going to feel it too. So why would you emotionally damage or hurt somebody else if it's going to make you feel like shit? You wouldn't. So we all need to just ascend to a higher level. We need to master our energies.
Do unto others.
Master our destiny that way.
Glenda Green was a guest on my show. She's claimed to have a visitation from Jesus, and now I don't doubt that. And he said love is the way. And the interesting definition of love that I have is your level of vibrational energy.
Okay.
So the more that you project positive thoughts and love, the higher your level of energy.
Right, and it's about harmonizing, really, because even if a person you encounter is at a low vibration, if you do harmony with the waves that he's putting out, then it causes an amplification effect, and he's automatically not only raised to your level, but your level goes up. For every two souls that overlap mentally, the vibration raises exponentially.
Now, one of the things that, I'm not very socialistic. I am absolutely opposed to communism. I wouldn't be if it was what they tried to make it out like it'd be, where we're all equal, we're all sharing, we're all working together for a common good. But that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. That's not what communism or fascism is. It's about taking the energy of your work, of your labor, and converting it into income for some unseen, behind-the-scenes Wizard of Oz.
Exactly. I mean, no government is going to serve us into the next stage that we want to become. Only a collective consciousness that we're all part of. So our centralized mind would become our new government, and we would all be a part of it, and you would just naturally act in the benefit of the whole.
In my science fiction novel, the masters of the what we call UFOs, I call them Earth ships, were able to converse telepathically. And this was set about 6,000 years ago, before the flood. Not too, what you're saying, that's not too much science fiction. I mean, we've got civilizations that are thousands, hundreds of thousands of years old, buildings that are hundreds of thousands, footprints of humans, next to that of dinosaurs. So it's quite possible that these individuals had evolved to a higher level and could speak telepathically.
Oh, absolutely, and we're all doing telepathy right now. Just ignore the data and we call it coincidence. I'm sure everyone listening has been sitting in a car in a room and their friend starts humming a song or singing a line of a song, and they go, oh my God, I was humming that, or I was thinking that same song in my head. Not only that, I was on the same line. Or how many times have you been hearing a song in your head, you'll turn on the radio and bam, there's that song you were hearing. So we're already telepathic. We're just ignoring the data.
Tell me a little more about your teaching techniques. Now, what are you teaching people, and what are some of the practical applications of this type of energy, this type of work, besides moving ribbons around?
Right. It's channeling, and if you're familiar with channeling, it's bringing in higher entities, but they're all a part of you. The soul is connected to everything, but you don't blot out your consciousness. You don't let something in and let it speak through your mouth. Instead, you ground the energy, you hold it, you make it your own, you pull it into your body, and then you expand outward as much as you can stand at a time. Now, when you lift weights, the muscles break down and rebuild. When you channel energy and you keep your consciousness and you ground through your feet, your nerve fibers daily grow in size from the greater amounts of energy that you're conducting. So in other words, the strength of the signal that you can hold gets stronger, and your sensory nerves grow in size, so your receptivity to all the vibrations around you increases steadily. Now, I can move that wind because I feel it as a part of myself. When it blows, I can feel it from 20 feet away, not just where it touches my skin. And it's beautiful beyond imagination. When my hands are in the water and I'm causing it to ripple, it doesn't even feel like I have hands. It feels like I am water, and I'm projecting into the water, so I'm completely unified with that. So when sunlight shines on me, I feel the vibration go through every cell of my body. When I drink a sip of water, that vibration, it doesn't just hit my throat and go into my stomach, it goes to every cell in my body. So the chief benefit is the feelings and the amplification of the third dimensional experience. It's beyond imagination. Every single facet of your life gets amplified in beauty and intensity by like times 10. And I won't even go into how amplified the sexual experience gets with the whole book in itself, but you can feel your partner or your lover as a part of yourself. You feel both bodies as though they're one, and then you can just mentally run energies through each other and sort of have a telepathic type of sex as well as the physical.
Now, I
so
don't.
that's one benefit.
I don't want to. Yeah, that's the Kundalini rising, huh?
Yeah. Another benefit is mastery of health. You don't get sick anymore. You have complete control.
Let me take a caller here for a second.
Sure.
We got somebody calling in, and since I happen to know this person really well, I'll let him join us. Michael Monk, meet my son Trevor Douglas.
Hello, Trevor.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Going really good, man.
Now, stay with me, son. Here, I'll keep you on here for a minute. Michael was just describing something, and he had to include some sex in there, so that kind of turned me on. But what you described, Michael, kind of reminds me of a few of the trips I took on acid in the 60s.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that I'm advocating taking drugs to reach this level, but I did reach that level. I did astral project under the influence of that particular substance.
Oh yeah, sure. And they accelerate your consciousness. It's just sometimes hard to bring back logical data because you go there so quick, and then you didn't tune to get there, and so and plus you're hallucinating because everybody says these are hallucinogens when really they're consciousness accelerators. But I don't wholeheartedly back that path either, but they are legitimate experiences for sure.
All right, Trevor, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
He rarely ever calls.
I had a 50-50 chance of getting on the radio show today, I guess.
your odds, your chances are pretty good, son. Especially
Yeah.
when you've got 3 of my articles there sitting that you're editing, supposed to be editing.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Hey, well, I love you, and I'm gonna have to get back to you sometime later.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it, bud.
All right, bye.
All right. That's a now you guys know where my character in One in Bloody Alabaster Eye gets his name. Now, what about I discuss in my novels something called the Akashic Records, and that's where people have gone, Edgar Casey, for instance, and kind of like being on the internet. I think the internet's an interesting has an interesting relevance to what they used to call Akashic Records, because you can find anything, right?
Right. It's the collective memory of all of humanity, all experiences that we've ever had and will have.
And
Soul forgets nothing. It's not like a brain. It's all contained in the vibration.
in your astral projections, how far do you go? And Lady K is asking, what part does the pineal gland play in all of this, or does it?
Absolutely. It's your inner eye represented physically. It has lens, rods, and cones, and it sees, but on a more subtle vibration of light than the physical eyes see on. So when you can accelerate your consciousness to get past your body, you're really unifying your mind with the vibrations that are already coming out of you, and they go to the utter ends of infinity. Like if science uses an EMF meter, they can measure that humans have a perceivable electromagnetic field coming out of them. Now there's a point where their meter may say, well, there's no longer a measurement, but that doesn't mean it's not there and that consciousness can't sense it. So what you're doing with the pineal gland is you're seeing with your inner eye, and you can go anywhere you wish. You can hear with this too. It senses all vibration. You can hear with it, you can taste with it, you can smell with it, everything.
Is there a limit on this astral projection, or have you, can you have lunch on the moon, or watch somebody have lunch on the moon?
There's no limits whatsoever. It depends on which body you're in, though. If you wake up inside of a dream, you're in what I call the first body, or the dream body. Now, there's rules to all of these other realities, just a little less strict than the rules here. In the first body, you're bound to Earth. You can't break from Earth's magnetism. You can fly up slightly past the atmosphere and you can see the stars, but you won't be able to go to the sun or Mars or any of the other planets. And you can fly and levitate, but not like supersonic speeds. You're still bound by laws of solidity. You can't walk through walls and whatnot. If you can accelerate to what I call the angel body, or the second body, that's when you have an OBE where you literally rise out of your body. Now this is 100 times more powerful than the astral body. It's super high vibration. You can walk through walls, you can fly at supersonic speeds, and you're now bound to the magnetism of the sun. In other words, you can go anywhere in the whole solar system. So I call that the angel body or the solar body. And then there's a third level, which I haven't obtained yet, which is the universal body. And if you can obtain this body, you break all rules of time and space, and you can go through the entire universe. In other words, if you can achieve this body, you could spend 30,000 years exploring the universe and get back to the next day in your life whenever you feel like it.
Have you had any surprises? Have you had any unexpected occurrences? Any negative occurrences, or positive for that matter? I mean, it could go either direction. Has this, you know, I've had experiences where I locked up a sports car, four-wheel skidding drift into a green light, and the guy that ran the red light passed in front of me six feet. And matter of fact, I'll be having Thanksgiving dinner with my cousin, who was sitting in the passenger seat when I did that.
Right.
He was kind of freaked out. How did you know? We couldn't see. Fitzgerald crossed Turtle Creek Boulevard. You couldn't see any cars on Fitzgerald, so there's no way I could have seen somebody speeding. How did you know, Clay? How did I know? How did I know, Michael? What is that?
Well, that's the part of you called soul, which is your inner self, warning you so that you can continue an experience that soul thought you should, called your life. Everything that we see here projected out in the outer plane first happens in the inner plane as an energy event or a vibration. So soul knows everything before it happens. So it just took control of you momentarily to save your life.
It's happened before. I mean, I was driving up to Detroit, snow, and my car started to skid. I hit black ice, and it was spinning and heading into the median, and there were oncoming traffic on the other side of the median. And I screamed out, "No, I'm not ready yet!" And it stopped. It just stopped. When I came back that way from Detroit, I didn't see any place in the median strip and that stretch of road there that there wasn't rocks or trees or something in the middle. So that was an interesting experience.
Right.
Okay, I don't know who that is, but I'm not taking that. I'll call them back. And now what you're doing by getting down on the vibrational level, let me talk about magic, for instance.